Oh, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Canada Live. It is Provincials Eve. That's right, the FRC Provincial Championship will be starting tomorrow with Loaded, and we are super excited, and we have a lot to talk to you about tonight. So, I'm your host, Karthik Kanikasis of Apathy, and let's get things started. And to get us started, as Canadians, it is important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect upon the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we remember the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that everyone is affected by. We're all treaty people here in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, folks, it is time to get started with tonight's show. And to do that, we're going to welcome our co-host from Team 2702, the Rebels of the First Canada Youth Council. It's Chloe. Hey, Chloe.
Hey Karthik, how's it going?
I am going great. It is, I can't, it's like Christmas Eve for me. Provincials is tomorrow. Some people say like Christmas is the most exciting day of the year, or like Diwali, or whatever religious festival you may be celebrating. Some people say kickoff is. For me, it's the day before provincials because it's
For
where you
sure.
get to see everyone from Ontario, the best of the best, all in one place.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a super exciting competition. I'm really excited to go tomorrow and I can't wait until load-in.
It's
Counting down hours.
Yeah, and folks, I know everyone's anxious about the divisions. The divisions for the Ontario Provincial Championship have not been released, but if they are released in the next hour, we will bring them to you live on this show. That's what we're committed to doing. And if they're not, then everyone can just hit F5 or scroll from pull down from the top of the screen, pull down from the top of the screen. I guess most people are probably doing it on a phone. So yeah, pull down or whatever to see what you're going to find, but hopefully we'll have that soon. But before we get to the divisions, we have to talk about what happened last week. And last week we had two amazing events here in Ontario, the Windsor Essex Great Lakes District event and the McMaster University District event, which we will be recapping tonight. Folks, if you have questions while we're on the air tonight, you're watching live, drop them in the Twitch chat. We'll do whatever we can to answer them on the air. And folks, remember why we're here. We're here to celebrate and celebrate the positivity in this community, celebrate our teams, and have some fun. So let's keep it high energy, keep your questions all positive, and we're gonna have a great show. Uh, but provincials is exciting. It is so, so exciting. But like there's nothing more when you get this excited and you have something this intense coming up, it's really important to take care of your wellness. And the Youth Council has been reminding us to do this for the last 4 years. And Chloe, tell us a little bit about your wellness moment for today.
For sure. So whenever I get stressed or if I have a bad day, the way I will de-stress or take care of my wellness is spend some time outside, whether it being finding a patch of grass and just sitting in the sunshine. Even though today was not sunshine, it was very windy and cold, but running or jogging is definitely another thing that I do lots. So I went for a run today to take care of my wellness before provincials. But yeah, definitely spending time outside is a great way to take care of your wellness.
Uh, you will notice me, when there's like a break in the action of provincials, I will be outside just taking maybe laps of the parking lot just
For
to
sure.
get some fresh air in there or whatever. Maybe go for a little bit of a run, get in there, see what we're doing. Got to keep the training up, right? You gotta be ready.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Maybe
There
we
you
could
go.
race. I definitely feel like I could beat you in the
Oh,
parking lot.
you okay, well, what distance are we going? What distance are we doing?
What distance do you run though?
So, well, okay, we're not doing a 5K around the parking lot.
Absolutely
So
not.
we do not have the energy for that, but like 400 meters, we do a lap. I still think you can beat me. You're
400,
young.
800. I could do something like that. Or
800's a tough race, right?
it
800 is
is.
like it is painful. So 800 is what I
Mhm.
used to run, and it is painful
Yep, ran it once and never again.
because it's like it's too short to treat it like a distance race, but
Exactly.
it's too long to sprint it. Like say
Exactly.
400 runners, like elite level 400 runners, they are wild to me. The way they just like they kill that lap in 50 seconds,
Hmm.
or 50 seconds to a minute. Like elites are doing it in, like 44 or whatever. That's another level or whatever. But it's like,
Hmm.
oh my goodness, doing a lap that fast
Yeah,
is
could not be me.
yeah, it's printed like that. Anyways, we're gonna not gonna turn this into a running pod. We're gonna talk about robots and stuff. But hey, folks, we do have some news items to go through. First Canada Live. Hey, hit subscribe, hit like. We only have two more episodes this season, but they're big ones. Next week will we be back and we'll be doing a recap of the provincial championship. So that's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna talk about everything that's gonna happen this week. And then 3 weeks later, we will be back doing a recap of the World Championship, hopefully celebrating all the accomplishments of Canadian teams at Worlds. Last year, Team 2609, Beaverworks from Guelph, won the World Championship. And this year, I would love, love, love. So in 2013, we had two Canadian teams win Worlds together. In 2012, we had three Canadian teams on Einstein together who almost won. I would love to get an
That'd be
all
amazing.
Canadian alliance together, just for like and then in 2017 we had three Canadian teams on alliance that were division finalists. So like this, it's been close before. So
We'll
let's
get
get it
there.
together, folks.
I
Yeah.
can feel it.
But to watch that show, make sure you like and subscribe so you get notifications when we're going live for that episode. That'll be there. And if you want to listen to the show as a podcast, hey, the link is going in chat. You can listen to us on Spotify. I see in chat someone saying the A team. Yes, the A team was the alliance back in 2012 when the alliances were only three teams at champs, and it was 11-14, 20-56, and 43-30, 43-34 together, and went all the way to Einstein. And then got hacked on Einstein, which is a little bit. It's another story for another show or another day or whatever. But that was a good run. Hey teams, you were getting ready for provincials or getting ready for worlds. Even say you're like, we just qualified for worlds, but we don't know how to get there. Or go into the Ontario team Slack. There are teams who are collaborating on shipping robots, sharing hotels, sharing buses. That is the place to be right now, especially if you qualify, there's going to be 23 new teams who qualify on Saturday. And for a lot of them, it could be their first time going to Worlds, and it'd be a while. Like Chloe, have you been to Worlds before?
I haven't personally, but our team went in 2019 and then we just
2019.
haven't been able to get the logistics together. It's a tough
There's
event to get to, but I'm
exactly. And
qualified
so
last.
if you need help with those logistics, that Slack forum is the place to be. A lot of good
Mhm.
help in there. And for all the First Canada alumni, hey, make sure you're signed up for all our various mailing lists and features. Go to firstroboticscanada.org/alumni. And grade 12s, you can sign up too now. You are basically alumni. You basically become an alumni after, this Saturday. And Thursday at Provincials, folks, we have the alumni social at 5:30 behind the technology bleachers. So make sure you're there for that. There'll be some guest speakers. There will be some swag. Well, maybe I'll go during this break, I'll go grab my alumni swag to see so you can see what you're going to be getting. It's pretty cool. Also, we've got Alumni Alley at Provincials where you can see a bunch of booths set up by First Canada alumni. There is actually going to be a battle bot on display. So that is pretty cool. So yeah, some alumni, actually alumni from 2702, Chloe,
Yeah, I will
have a battle
certainly be
bot.
there.
Yeah, so that's going to be very cool to see. All right, folks, we are going to be back in just a moment to talk about what's been happening in crescendo. I almost said charged up there. In crescendo. It's been the whole season. I almost did it.
Wrong game.
In crescendo in week 5. So we will be back in just a moment. Let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors, Centerline. All right, folks, we are back, and well, actually, let's bring out Emily first. Then I'll show off the swag. Let's do this. All right, our guest today was the co-host of the first ever episode of First Canada Live, Youth Council alum, First Canada alum, and First Canada game announcer and master of ceremonies, Emily Forrester. Hey, Emily.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Emily. It feels like home when you're on this show. You have been a co-host for the show many times, a producer many times, and this is your first time back this season, right?
It is. Yeah, I've missed it. I missed me it. I'm glad to be back.
All right, so here, I'm going to give everyone a sneak peek of the swag you'll all be getting at the alumni social this year. We have alumni lanyards. Isn't that
Ooh,
with the gradient?
I
Uh,
love it.
Fancy.
I got it upside down, but yeah, Emily, you can guess who designed this with the gradient, right?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who designed that one.
That's our friend, another former youth council member, Aidan Monder, who designed this. But yeah, we'll be giving these away to folks who get themselves signed up to be part of the alumni group. So it's pretty cool. And you can wear that wherever you go. Like I know, Chloe, next year you're going to be off at a school somewhere, and they're probably going to give you a lanyard or whatever. But like everyone at the school will have that lanyard. But how many are going to have a First Canada alumni
Exactly.
lanyard? Yeah.
My lanyard currently is the black and white First Canada lanyard, and I've had that one for years.
Well, see, you're going to
So,
upgrade
need
from just being a student to an alum.
exactly.
Oh, it's going to be good. All right, folks. It has been a great season of Crescendo, and I want to know this past weekend there were some really cool events. And so, Emily, you were at McMaster. You were the game announcer there. Chloe, you were at Windsor this weekend. Is that what you said, or were you watching
No, I
Windsor?
had teams who I knew of at Windsor.
Okay,
Some of our
okay,
local teams were there.
all right. But we were watching the action, so I want to know what impressed people the most about this weekend's events. And maybe Emily, will start with you because you had the
Yeah.
best seat in the house. Game announcers get
Yeah,
that prime
right
prime real
beside the
estate.
field.
Yep.
Yeah, it was definitely an extreme. McMaster was a crazy competition. Had some of the best robots in Canada, I'd like to say, with crazy competitions. I was just really impressed by some of the upgrades teams had made from like earlier weeks because McMaster is the last district competition before provincials next week. And a lot of teams have not competed since Newmarket, for example. So I know like 11-14, they completely redesigned their robot and it was completely different, brand new, and it was crazy. I didn't expect it. And there were just crazy upgrades teams had made that was really exciting to see.
So that's another reason why I'm excited for provincials this weekend is to see
Mm,
who else has done upgrades. And
exactly, yeah.
uh back in 19, there was still a bag and teams had to bag their robot at the end of the season and got access to it, but it was hard to do these sort of wide scale upgrades.
Mm,
But now the
It's
door
so
is open
easy.
right here. And, we've seen like some of the top teams in the world, like 44-14 out in California, last year's world champions. They started off with a turret robot and they completely flipped it.
mhm.
11-14. Maybe it's just teams with ones and fours in their names. I don't really know. Started off with a robot that kind of struggled at Newmarket and then completely flipped it on their head this weekend and had like a robot that during qualification matches missed one shot and they were just
Yeah.
like firing from all sorts of range and distance or whatever. And it was really just wild to see. But at the same time, you have teams who just continue with the same robot, just practicing and practicing and practicing and getting better. And we saw some teams take some real leaps. 3 teams, 2200, 49-46 the Alpha Dogs, and 46-78 the Cyber Cavs were
Mm,
all finalists at their first event and then
Mhm.
came out like, hey, we're not getting another silver medal. And they were all just took it to another level. And it's great seeing what's going on in Ontario right now. And so that's pretty cool. Chloe, what impressed you the most this week?
I loved seeing, like, it was really impressive, like, the strategies that people came up with and seeing how the thought process has changed throughout the season. But definitely, like, as you were saying, the evolution of robots, like seeing the preseason videos that teams were posting to where the teams are now, it's insane to see that. And then obviously how the robots perform. That was wildly impressive.
It is. Hey folks, if you see me looking away over, I'm just constantly checking to see if these divisions are popping up for us. So I'm just like every time like I see a notification on my phone, it's like, is that someone telling me the divisions have come up? So I am focused on the show. I am focused on the show, but like this is
Hmm.
like exciting times right now. We're waiting to see. Um, so what surprised people this week? And we talked a little bit about the robot rebuilds or whatever. Was there anything strategically that surprised you?
there was a lot of interesting strategies I definitely saw over the weekend with different alliances. I'm trying to think of one specifically. Um, for example, I know, the alliance number two at McMaster was with 5409, 1114. For one more.
8764,
Yes.
8764. Thunder
And I thought
Robotics.
their strategy was extremely interesting or like surprised me a lot because I know 5409, they can only do amp in the trap from I could tell. And so what they had is like they were constantly running back and forth doing the amp, constantly trying to amplify their speaker while 1114 was going and shooting notes in the speaker constantly. I thought that was a really interesting strategy that was used there. Actually
Uh,
surprised
wh-
me because it's something I
Right.
wouldn't expect.
Go on, go ahead, Chloe.
I was gonna say that's a really neat way of doing it because I know
Mm,
when trying to figure out our strategy, like for our matches, we're trying to figure out, okay, who's doing the amp and the speaker and coordinating cycles. But if you have two robots just doing their own thing,
mhm.
that's a really neat way.
Well, and uh it would be really interesting if you add a third robot. So 8764, they were playing mostly defense in that. But if you had a
Yeah.
third robot cycling as well in there, look out. But also
Yeah.
what surprised me the most was 5409. Okay, let's talk about 5409, the Chargers. Um
Yeah.
they are up there for my favorite robot in Ontario right now. They're fighting with Naki, Team 2935. These two if they get together on an alliance at provincials, I'm just going to be like, well, this is the alliance right here because they are just so cool in different ways.
Hmm.
5409. And, I give a presentation at Championship about this every year about how important it is that teams don't overreach and try and do too much. And the best teams are the teams that do the most within their abilities. So 5409 said, hey, we're not going to do the speaker, but we're going to be the best uh, trapping robot in the world. And what does the best trapping robot in the world look like? It's a robot that can trap 3 times in a match. And that's what 5409 can do. They can go up, trap, come down, go trap on another chain and trap on another chain. And then they want it to be one of the best ampers in the world, which they are. They are so fast into the amp in and out. Like the other teams is fast, like 2056 is blazing
Mhm.
fast at the amp as well or whatever. But those combinations, not a single shot fired at the speaker. But
Hmm.
in autonomous mode, sometimes they'll put two in the amp in autonomous mode. And you know what that means? They can amplify the speaker right away. And so any notes that have been left. So if you miss notes in auto, what's a note worth in auto, folks?
5 for the speaker, 2 for
Uh,
the amp.
Yeah.
5 points in the speaker. What's an amplified note worth in teleop?
Also,
5 points.
So if you miss shots in auto, it doesn't matter because you're
Hmm.
going to be amplified right away before anyone can get to those notes and you can pick them up and score them right away. And so that was really like, so if you miss something or whatever, or it's right there. It was just like a really cool strategy.
Hmm.
And kudos to 5409 for pulling it off. And
Yeah.
they seeded I think number 3 at
Yes. Yeah.
McMaster. Uh, I just if they get on an alliance with two other strong speaker robots, which is very possible with how strong Provincials is,
hmm
look out. Look out. And if they get to Worlds and they are like the second pick of like a 1678 plus 2056, which is
That would be the dream
possible.
alliance right there.
It is possible. Like like
Yeah.
a lot of people be like, oh, that would never happen. But like there was
you
some
never,
wild alliances at Worlds the last couple
never
of
know.
years.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that there's in a game that is already very strategic, 5409 opens up so many options. So I think that
Mm.
was very,
Mhm.
very cool. Definitely surprising. Chloe, what do you think? How do you think this game's going to change over the next few weeks?
Oh, definitely. I feel like we're going to see more specialization of robots, and like changing little tweaks so that teams perform better. I like in watching competitions and then being in competitions, I found auto is like extremely important because if you put up a ton of points in auto, it's extremely hard to catch up or have the other lines catch up to you. So for one, autos we'll see an improvement in those. Um, and then making sure that like those autos get to it. Like I've seen teams do new intake systems so that they can get pieces better or the lobbying note strategy. Um, but I definitely think strategy, I don't think we'll see a ton of mechanical changes other than making small tweaks. But strategy, like it's a very strategy based game. So you never know what people are going to come up with for obviously this weekend and then Houston in a couple weeks.
there's just so many options strategically,
Hmm.
like you said, like the passing strategy, how's that going to be utilized? Which it hasn't been heavily utilized in Ontario compared to other regions. Like in
Hmm.
California, it just seems like everyone's passing, it's just a normal sort
Yeah.
of thing. I saw 2056 work it in really well to what they were doing, just,
Yeah.
flinging a
Hmm.
note and then going. And so that one's really interesting. The autonomous strategies, with note detection and note delays, I think is going to be an interesting piece. I think just how people are utilizing their amp cycles. We talked about this last week, but the goal is you want to get four speaker shots while amplified every time. And if you can do that, you're going to win because
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
A
like,
lot of
sorry,
points.
Emily, you're trying to get in here. Go.
Sorry, no, it's okay. I was gonna point out as well because I know that for provincials they've made a rule change for getting the melody ranking point so that you need to get actually shoot 21 notes instead of 18, or if it's
Yep.
co-op 18. But now that 15 for co-op, you have to get at least 18 to get that melody
Yeah.
21 without co-op, which is gonna a lot of teams. It's gonna really it's gonna be a really big thing after DCMP, I'm sure.
21
Hmm.
notes is a lot.
Yeah,
21 notes is a lot. And it is hard to do that without three teams contributing.
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah.
So like, in general, I mean, there's some teams that can do like 15 in a match or whatever. That's next level or whatever. But like the
Hmm.
best teams in Ontario usually topping out around like 10, 11, 12. And
Yeah.
that's one team. And you usually don't have two of those on an alliance in a random
Yeah.
qualification match. 21 is high.
Yeah.
Hopefully lots of teams will co-op
Hmm.
to bring that down to 18. We saw a lot of
Absolutely.
co-op going. But that's a big number there. And
Hmm.
ranking points are so, so important because
Yeah.
also and we haven't really talked about this. There's only a handful of robots that can trap effectively in Ontario.
Hmm.
4152, 2200,
5409.
5406, obviously 5409,
Yeah.
4678,
Hmm.
just a handful of them. And so those are the robots that can really guarantee that you get that ranking point,
Yeah.
that climb ranking point. So that climb ranking point otherwise needs harmonies, or it needs a human player who's gonna, actually hit the shot. A lot of things need to happen. So that ranking point is hard, aside from it happening from penalties, which is annoying and whatever. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But the Maori ranking point has been the ranking point to get, but now that threshold's being raised, so
Hmm.
it's going to be a lot of shooting till the very end.
Yeah. And definitely like
Absolutely.
co-op bonus. I know at Waterloo there were some alliances and qualifications that they could score the 18 point, like the 18 notes, and didn't need to co-op. So then
Yeah.
the other like it was a disadvantage to the other alliance, but now since it's raised, we I feel like we're going to see a lot more teams doing co-op than in previous weeks.
And also, teams really need to remember that co-op is not just a 3 point reduction there. It is the tiebreaker. And if you don't co-op enough, you will drop in the rankings. And I think teams have started to figure that out. The co-op success
Definitely.
rates at Mac and Windsor were way higher than they were earlier in the season. And
Hmm.
I think teams strategy, you
Mhm.
adapt. Um, Also, one thing that might change. So there is a team out in the States, Team 4028, the Bird Beaks, something like that. They have a fan on their robot, like a
Oh,
powerful blower. And it they aim at the trap and they turn on this fan full speed and it blows the trap door open so they can shoot into the trap. Yeah, yeah.
I
Beak
never
Squad.
thought of that.
Thanks,
that's
thanks
so
for
smart.
Pernit in chat just told us it's Beak Squad. So there have been some teams who have mimicked that and added it to their robot. 3467 out in New England, Mechanical Advantage has done it. I believe, yeah. So some other teams. I don't want to say their names in case they haven't showed it off yet. So I don't want to, speak for them or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how many teams show up at provincials with a fan, if anyone does, with a fan on their robot, or by the time Houston comes, when you have a couple weeks,
Hmm.
because basically you just buy an off the shelf. There's certain off the shelf fans that run on a 775 motor. You have to remove the 775 motor because it's not a first legal motor.
Hmm.
Insert a 775 Pro, which has the exact same output shaft, so it fits. And then you have a fan. I don't
That's
know.
genius.
I never would have thought of that.
Isn't it so cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
That's so creative. I
I'm
never
I
even
speechless.
thought of
That's
that.
so cool.
Yep. So and like it doesn't it's not like an easy thing. You got to figure it out. You got to find a mounting spot for it.
Right.
You know, you got to like I'm not just saying that this is trivial that everyone's gonna
Mhm.
okay. All right, hold on. We gotta stop here for a second. In chat, Praneet says, I'm a big fan of this idea, Karthik.
Oh.
Oh.
Boo, boo. So it's going to be all. Praneet is our district head ref. He'll be head ref of one of the fields at provincials. It's going to be all cheering for Praneet all weekend long because we love what our refs do, but we're
Mhm.
booing him right now for that bad pun.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, come on,
unintentional.
Praneet. You can try harder. You can try harder, buddy. You can
Ah.
you can come up with something better. Like, come on, like that fan's gonna blow us away. See, a little bit better.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna spin us all around. Okay, all right, okay. We're done. We're done here.
All
All right,
right.
folks. Hey, before we get started talking about the Windsor Great Lakes event, Emily specifically, you were at an event. Tell us something great, super graciously professional that you saw.
Well, I think the master event was just extremely like gracious professionalism. Like the crowd, I have never, and maybe I have, but the crowd at the master was so loud, always cheering. I could barely hear myself talk when I was game announcing. It was just everyone was, it was just so good to hear, and like the amount of spirit coming from a crowd, I felt like it's like so much gracious professionalism was just like surrounding us in at the event.
So I'll tell you one. And I wasn't
Mm,
there, but I got some really good feedback about this. And Emily, you were there for this, but a fire alarm went off during the event. And the folks at McMaster told the First Canada staff that they wish that their fire alarms went this smoothly because all the students and all the mentors
mm,
left the pits, left the bleachers in an orderly fashion. No one panicked, no one ran. They calmly got outside. They
mm,
waited outside, and then when they were called back in, they came in. And
mm,
people weren't people. It was just a very calmly handled, and I think that's really, really important because uh sometimes the most dangerous part of a fire alarm can be everyone rushing to the exits. We've seen that before
absolutely.
around the world or whatever. And so just like that is gracious professionalism as opposed to like,
Mm,
hey, I got to get out first. It's no, let's make sure everyone gets out safely together. And that was
mm.
pretty cool. So that's my example.
Mhm.
Emily, did you have a jacket during the fire alarm or were you cold out there?
I did. I actually had my jacket and I on my chair and I ran out. Some
Nice,
people
nice.
were a little jealous of me for that.
All right, folks, we are going to be back. We're going to come back and, we've set the stage here. Let's talk Windsor Essex Great Lakes event in just a moment after a word from one of our sponsors, Lakeside.
What I value most about Lakeside and Lakeside's culture is the extracurricular activity or involvement that Lakeside has with organizations such as FIRST. Having a partnership with FIRST is really important to me because I part-time teach kids robotics, and I am an advocate for women in STEM and women in engineering and kind of overcoming that, stigma or that appearance of what people in certain fields look like. And so the fact that Lakeside has an alliance with First Robotics shows that it aligns their values with my values, and that's really important to me.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Lakeside, and we are here for a good one. We're going to be talking about the Windsor Essex Great Lakes event. So let's take a look at the stats. And so, we keep seeing this to a certain degree where there is a group of teams in Ontario who really risen above, and there were three of them at this event: 4907, 4678, and 4946. They're all kind of in their own world. There are three of them, though, and with the way our alliance structure works, only two can get on an alliance together. And if you have ever been one of the top three teams at an event like this, it is super, super stressful because everyone's fighting for number one to pick one of the others, and no one wants to be left out. And it made for an interesting dynamic for sure. Shout out to team 5855 for breaking into this tier or getting close to this tier. This is a team who hasn't been at this level, but wow, their robot is fantastic this year. Really, really cool to see the Villanova Wildcats. 4920 right there. They were a team who won the Humber event, and they were, like in that next tier of teams. And hey, 8884, young team. That's a high team number, folks. The depth the great robots in Ontario are coming from all over the place, from the veterans to the super young teams, the 88 84s, the 90 98s of the world. So that is cool to see. So then let's look to see how the alliances shook out on the next slide. And we see that 4678 and 4946 got together, put together those two big EPAs, which are, top 10% in the world. And you see like, whoa, that is a powerful alliance. That is hard to beat. 4907 with 5885, they put them together, but the difference between 80 and 68 EPA is big. However, not insurmountable. We saw a gap like this at at Waterloo last week, and the 4476 5024 alliance was able to overcome. So it's an interesting thing to pay attention to unless we watch the match coming up to see some of the strategies here. But 4678 is fantastic. I love the robot. Chloe, you get to see a lot of them at your practice field, right?
I do. We get the pleasure of sharing a practice field with them, and we share it with a total of 7 other teams. But it's really cool to be able to see the robot. And then obviously when there's downtime at the field, we all just kind of wander in groups and go check out each other's robots. So it was neat to see like how their mechanism work, and then obviously to hear what Windsor was like from their point of view. So it's so much fun sharing a field with them.
Yeah, so let's take a look. We're going to take a look at qualification match, playoff match, round four, match number 11, which is Alliance 1 versus Alliance 2. They ended up playing each other in the finals, but we're going to take a look at the first time they played each other because this is probably the closest match that they played. And so let's take a look at the video. All right, and can we pause for 1 second right at the start? Let's pause right at the start. Okay, folks. So if you are in the bleachers and you are near the camera, please, please don't be in the way of the camera because I'm gonna get my marker out. This right here, this makes Karthik cry, okay? This makes me sad because I want to see the robots and all I can see is your head. So please make sure there's usually like a sign above. Please be careful to not be that person for the sake of everyone who is watching at home. All right, let's take it away in the autonomous period. And we see right off the bat, 4907 going to center line, 4946. There's 4678. Hey, the center line is clear of notes after 10 seconds. Wild, wild what it's going to be like in provincials. Everyone's there. Blue Alliance takes a 20-point lead, folks. 20-point lead after autonomous mode. So how is Red going to combat this? All right, move your laptop. Okay, there you go. There we go. Now we're back, folks. We can see everything that's going on. Emily, what do you see here?
There's a I what sorry, it's my first time watching this match actually. There's a lot of robots driving back and forth between the source zone and their alliance. It looks like 5885. They're doing a lot of running back and forth between the source zone.
It's
Not a lot of defense.
no, not a lot of defense there, but what I did see is watch 49-46. I bet you they're gonna pass right here.
Yeah.
Yep. They are intentionally flooding the zone to make sure they can maximize their cycles when they get amplified. And they're gonna pass again. Yep. So they're ooh, that one hit the truss.
It did.
But this is how you come back. And so they're ready to amplify, they go, and then they're there to clean up the extra notes. So
Mm.
very, very cool to see. And like, look, that lead is gone already. And like lead is gone because of how they amplify.
Mm-hmm.
Praneet in chat points out the Red Alliance sorted out their lanes and feeds, that they are sticking to opposite lanes to ensure that they are not colliding at the source zone, while the Blue Alliance is running into a little bit more traffic, some caused by defense by the Red Alliance and some self-imposed.
Yeah. Definitely goes to show how important strategy is in
Okay,
talking
amplification
beforehand.
again, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like boom, boom, shot, shot, Red Alliance, and they every time they were getting the multiple notes during the amplification. Sorry,
Absolutely.
Chloe, I cut you off.
No worries. It's so fun to watch the robots.
Also, what's neat is, and in chat, someone says the Cavs got a steal there. If you go past notes early in the match and you leave notes in your zone, your opponent is going to come down and snatch them at some point. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just leave them sitting there. Teams are too good right now, and they know that that's the way to mess up your amp cycles here.
Definitely.
And the Cavs were really smart there. And then Okay, let's rewind for a second. Please rewind for a second. Please rewind. We need to watch the human player from the Alpha Dogs, folks. We need to watch this. Just don't watch anything else. Watch the Alpha Dogs human player. All right, is coming down to end game. He hasn't thrown any notes yet. What is he doing? What is he doing? He picks up the notes, the three notes, and just chucks them on the field.
Oh,
It's just vibes. It's just vibes. He's just
I
like,
love that.
he's like, I'm probably not going to make the shots, and we got this match under control. So I'm going to make life easier for everyone. I'm just going to just dump him on the field there. Hilarious. Alpha Dog's one of my favorite teams. Absolutely
So funny.
hilarious. Final
Yeah.
score in that match was 96 to 84. So despite
Wow.
being down 39 to 19 after auto, the Red Alliance was able to come back and win by 12. That means they won Teleop by 32 points. That is phenomenal work. The passing strategy and the stealing worked out there.
I
This new,
also
yeah.
know, sorry, go ahead,
No
Emily.
worries. I was just gonna say the new passing strategy that I've seen within the last few weeks, and I definitely saw a lot at McMaster, has definitely been a real help to teams. So it's less going back and forth, and essentially one team is just constantly going to source zone, and then another team staying in their alliance and
Mhm.
just keeps shooting in the speaker.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
also know like teams are definitely working on their cycle times. I know like at our practice field, there's
oh,
cycles going all the time in driver practice. So it's interesting to see in the later events how teams are able to add more cycles to their matches. So
well,
provincials will be really interesting.
here's the key. And Chloe, you're a track person, so like in track, the elusive number for 100-meter runners is 10 seconds. Breaking 10 seconds, that's what makes you one of the best sprinters of all time to be able to break 10 seconds. That's a big, big mark to be able to do that. In FRC, 10 seconds is the magic number as well, because you want to be able to score a note. And right when you score a note, your human player is going to hit the amplify button. And then you have 10 seconds to go to the source, come back, and get a shot off. And some teams can do it consistently. We will be talking about one, maybe the best at it right now, 2056, just blazing down. But there are a handful of teams in Ontario that have now got the 10-second cycle down. 2200 is one, Alpha Dogs, 1114. And if you can get that, that's how you take advantage. Because if you can do two in your amp period, that means your partners just have to do two for you get that perfect
Mhm.
amping. And
Mhm.
so if maybe there's been one pass that's been tossed down there, then you've got it. But to actually be able to, and I'd say there's probably only like 8 teams that can do it, and
Mhm.
maybe like four who can do it consistently. It's at least as of now. What
Yeah.
happens on Thursday? I bet you there's going to be more because the bar just keeps raising in Ontario. But those 10-second
Mhm.
cycles is pretty cool. In chat, Nathan, an alum from 1503, says, I wish I was able to get this much Karthik when I was a student and more involved in FRC. Oh, Nathan, you still remain hilarious. Um, so back on Windsor, congratulations to the event winners, Team 4678, the Cybercavs, 4946, the Alpha Dogs, and 5870, League of Logic. The finalists, Team 4907, the Thunderstamps. They are so good this year. Even though the robot's a little bit more conventional than normal, it's not jumping, it's not a trapezoid or a pentagon. It is still pretty phenomenal. 5855, the Villanova Wildcats, and 4951, the CDS Cyclones. Dean's List, congratulations to Ren from Team 6135 Arctos on winning Dean's List, along with Shivani from Team 8789, the lost 10mm sockets. Engineering Inspiration goes to Team 5870 League of Logic. They've won that award a couple times now. Very cool to see. And the first Impact Award to none other than Team 77, who?
772.
There you go. Saber Bites winning another well-deserved first Impact Award. They're a team who's consistently won that. They've won the Engineer Inspiration Award at the World Championship. Just fantastic what they've done growing first in the Windsor region and
Mhm.
beyond. So that was Windsor Essex. We are going to be back in just a moment to talk about the McMaster University event. So see you in a second. All right, folks, it is time to talk about the McMaster University event. Emily, you had the front row seat there, game announcer.
I
Very
did.
jealous you got to see all the action. Folks, let's take a look at the stat sheet and prepare your eyes, folks. Prepare your eyes.
Yeah.
So let me just start off by saying McMaster was the strongest event in Ontario this season. The level of competition was higher than anywhere else. There were so many great teams at this event. But folks,
There's an outlier.
Yep. Big
2056.
gap.
And folks, I know I sound like a broken record because people are going to be like, oh, there we go. Karthik's only talking about 2056 again. When you're this good, you will get talked about. Okay. This is people talk about in California, they talk about 254, they talk about 1323. In Florida, they're talking about, spam or whatever. And Texas, they're talking about 3005. There are some teams, and in Ontario, we are very fortunate to have one of the best teams in the world here. And they are just these teams are all freaking awesome. All like top 10% of the world. Some of the best teams in the world. But the gap is so, so big. They create this snowman effect right here. So they are the snowman, and here's the belly.
Beautiful drawing.
Well, thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank you.
10 out of 10.
The snowman effect. There we go. Still person effect. Um, that is the gap. So, what does it mean when you are at an event like this? Number one, pulling off an upset is hard, but can we bring the stat slide back up, folks? Um, but number two, it's yeah, can we get that slide back up? It is a challenge if you are pen, if you were in this area, it's like how do we get 2056 to pick us? Because like, look how close this was. This is 2200. That's 3161. They're right there or whatever.
Mhm.
Or how do you try and beat them? And that's a really interesting question. Um, Also, I think EPA was underselling some of these teams because EPA has a long memory. And Emily, you talked about how some of these teams made some big upgrades since their first event, and so you don't necessarily see that because they're first event stats. And so like
Mhm.
5409, 1114, 5406, I think made some big, 4976 for sure, made some
Yes.
big steps up at McMaster, but isn't
Mhm.
necessarily captured in these stats, but
Hmm.
it was definitely captured in the playoffs, let's just say. So let's go take a look at the next slide. And now we see the cumulative EPA of Alliance 1, 108 folks,
Wow.
57 on their own for 2056, which is more than Alliance 4, Alliance 5 had total.
Yeah.
This is next level, folks. This is wild. Alliance 3, 3161. Now, 3161 made the interesting call to decline 5409. And I think it's just strategic. 5409 strategy is different. They're playing the triple amp game, and so they
Mhm.
probably wanted another speaker score, so they declined. 5406 declined as well. And I mean, look at the robots they got, really great robots. But then it opened up for 5409 to get 1114, who was kind of a sleeping giant, as they continue to get better. Um, Alliance 6 of 610 and 1285 was a scary alliance. Alliance 7, Alliance 6, 2386 and 1241. All these alliances could have won most district events. It was phenomenal how deep the competition was at McMaster. Emily, after you saw the alliances shake out at McMaster, what were your thoughts?
Uh, some of them I was shocked. Some of them like I, I was the moment you saw these alliances, you're like, those are like the best teams in Canada, some of the best teams in Canada. Like who wins that? It was amazing. Like 3161, they've been amazing this year. And they're like 1325, as I said, 2200. They were all it's just all the best of teams all mushed together, and it's just crazy to see.
I know for 2056, the choice must have been agonizing choosing between 2200 and 3161 and 5409 and
Hmm.
5406. Just a lot of really, really strong teams there. But 2200, they were very consistent. They also had that trap mechanism for the extra 5 points at the end. And I think when you were as good as 2056, you're looking for consistency in your partners. You're
Yeah.
not looking for the variance. You want consistent, who's going to work every single time. And
Hmm.
that's what you get. 2200 is one of the most reliable teams in first. If you ever look at their robot, they just like work, it's just these, uh, yeah, just very, very cool machines.
And
So,
another good
yes,
note with that
go ahead,
one,
Emily.
2056 and 2200 and 4992 actually, they won provincials last year. So the fact that they have worked with that team in the past definitely, yeah.
Definitely helps. It was almost a preview of provincials with that many of the
Yeah.
big name teams there.
Hmm.
Well, if we remember last year, 2056 and 4992 were together at McMaster, and then we're at together again at provincials. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think, and some people argued that last year's McMaster winning alliance was stronger than the provincials winning alliance. And
Hmm.
so McMaster is like now the event, it's like the preview before, like
Yeah.
it's the teaser. So let's take a look at finals number one, I believe is what we're going to look at for McMaster, featuring Alliance number one, 2056, 2200, and 7509 on red. And on blue, teams 3161 and 1325 who won the Centennial event, 3161 who won the Humber event.
Yeah.
And look out. Nathan says, is McMaster the Waterloo of old? This year, this year it was. This year it was the stacked event in the province.
Hmm.
And so, folks, we're going to start autonomous mode, but we're going to pause it early on in autonomous mode. So we're going to get started and hover over that pause button. All right, let's pause right here. Okay. So right now we see, oh, let's keep it paused right here. Keep it paused right here. So 2056 went and grabbed their first note. 1325 already grabbed a note up here. Note up here is gone. But now we're going to let it advance for a couple seconds and we're going to pause it again. So we're going to start and keep it going and pause right here. Right there. Perfect. So 3161 has taken the note that was going to be in that spot right there that 2056 was going for. Most teams this year, when someone gets the note that they've had, will just continue their autonomous routine and then go over here to, they don't have a note, but they're going to do their path and then go for the next note. But 2056 is not most teams. So watch and see what they do. Let's watch it. They just turn and go get the next note. Like, hey, that's fine. That is phenomenal. Let's watch that all over again from the start.
It's incredible.
So kudos to the Blue Alliance for coming up with the strategies here and saying, like, hey, let's go grab one of their notes and try and mess up their routine and beating them to the punch. 3161 gets there before 2056 can, which is really impressive. But 2056 unfazed just goes and gets another note and gets a different one. And there we go. Heading into so let's pause right here just to talk about that. So how was that done? To be completely honest, I don't know. I haven't asked them yet. There's a lot of ways that could have been done. It could have been done using vision to detect a note. It could also be done with timers, just to be like, if I haven't gotten a note by now, it means the note is gone. And that would be a really simple and cool way of doing it, right?
Hmm.
To think of it with not having to rely on another camera, not having to rely on, I know some people are doing like a limelight with the Google Coral plugged in to get that advanced recognition and doing like learning things or whatever. But man, if you were just doing that timer based, that'd be pretty smart. So that's interesting to see. So let's take a look at this match now. Hey, after auto, it's only a 15-point lead. The Blue Alliance is still in this, but watch the Red Alliance go. And so right away, 2056 and 2200, they get into the source.
Oh, there's no
And
stacked on each other.
yeah, and so that normally 2056 is in and out. Look at that pass right over top of 4992 who's trying to block 2056.
Hmm.
Undeterred. Coming on down, 2056 is getting ready to shoot. Amplification, boom, they shoot. And now let's watch how fast they go get back down there. So they shot at 10 seconds left, and 2056 is down there to shoot again with 3. 7-second cycle, folks. That is next
Insane.
level. And the Blue Alliance, fantastic, trying to keep up here. 3161, one of the best teams of the province, and they're firing. But 2056 and 2200 just passing, setting up the amp cycles. 2056's human player is intense. Look at it. He's
Hmm.
just like watching everything.
If you take a look at the human player as well, the moment he hits the amplified, he runs behind the driver's station. You can see him. He's
Yeah.
like letting the drivers know, hey, we're amplified, the guys. We gotta.
Sorry, Emily. Don't want to cut you
Yeah.
off. Another 7-second cycle
So
from
sorry.
2056. Another 7-second cycle. No, go on.
Uh, but the moment that human player hits the amplified, he runs over. He's like, everyone, we're amplified, and like
Yeah.
you can even look.
active communication. And you see the active
Mm-hmm.
communication for 3161's human player too. He's waving, saying, hey, get over here, get
Mm-hmm.
over here. And Alliance 3 is doing their best to keep this one close, but wow, the speed coming here. And they're ready and they score. Amplification starts. And 2056 is also really good at hitting the amplify button as late as possible.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
6 second cycle right there. Because remember, you don't need to do it before you shoot. You only need to hit the amplify before the note passes through the sensor. So you could actually wait a second after the shot is fired. And I don't think anyone in Ontario is doing it better than 2056 right now. 2200 going to hang. Watch them go up for the trap. So clean.
The
Oh yeah,
Oh,
combo
we've
is
boop,
like it's
boop,
really nice.
boop. Oh, and then 2056 is a human player. I just missed it. It looks
yeah,
like
it's
he
had
got
some
one on the
they had
microphone.
some amazing shots with the high note.
I think he is the second best human player in the province. I think the best human player in the province is still 7558's human player from Centennial.
Oh
Looks
yes,
like,
that much.
but yeah, OP's human player looks like they got two notes on the microphone right there. 103 to 67. They were getting 100 points every match.
Yeah.
Um, it was wild, folks. In qualification, 2056 didn't matter who they were paired with. It put up 114, put up 120. It was wild to see. So let's take a look at the final score here. 116 to 74. And so that took finals one for them, and they did go on to win finals two. But just 2056 and 2200 is a deadly combo. And that combo is only going to get 7509 was a very good robot.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
at provincials, what's possible for them? Because they could
Mhm.
get a much stronger robot to go with them. And look out, folks. It could be really, really interesting. And 3161 and 1325 put up a fabulous fight, really tried their best in auto. Just we got some great teams in the province, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's watching this, and the bar is only going to be raised.
And this was a clean match too. There were no
Yep.
penalties in that match.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, uh, well, first of all, we need to recognize the winners from this McMaster event. Our champions team 2056 OP Robotics, 2200 Robotics, and 7509 Brainstorm Robotics. Shout out to 2200. Also, shout out to the Alpha Dogs who won. So I want to give shout outs to three teams. Going back to Windsor, 4946 and 4678 won that one together. 4678 had some mechanical issues in the finals of Waterloo. So great to see them overcome that and come back and win. 4946 and 2200 were together at Humber. And there were some scoring issues with the automated scoring that really affected their alliance more than others. And they lost in the finals and were really gracious about it. So it was very cool to see them come back and win in week 5. Very cool to see that happen. Finalists at this event, Team 3161 Tronic Titans, 1325 Inverse Paradox, and 4992 Sparbotics. Dean's list goes to Ian from Team 1114 Symbotics and Alexis from Team 6865 Manitoulin Metal. Engineering Inspiration, I love it when this happens. Another first-time EI or first-time Impact Award winner, Team 7200 Bantine Robotics. They were on First Canada Live earlier this season with their robot goalie, so very cool to see that. And Impact Award goes to Team 3161, the Tronic Titans. They've won an EI earlier in the season. Now they got an Impact Award. They won an event. They got 4 medals this season, which is pretty wild. So very
Amazing.
cool
And I
for them.
think to point out, I believe this is the first season they've ever won an event and the first
Yep.
season they've ever won Impact Award, which is really
It
amazing for that all to happen at once.
It's
what
awesome
it's
for their team.
it's a great program. If you want to check out more about their program, they're one of those teams who share everything as part of the
Mhm.
Open Alliance. So if you go on Cheap Delphi and search up the Toronto Titans, you can read everything about their season, and it's really really cool. So like to think that like one of the best teams in Ontario is sharing everything that they're doing with the whole
Mhm.
world, and they're not the only one. I know Celtex does it. 6328, who's been on Einstein the last 2 years, is part of that. 3467 Mechanical Advantage, who I think is one of the best teams in New England and one of the best teams in the world this year. So it's very cool to see these teams sharing. Needs to see. All right, folks, we only got a few more minutes left here, but I want to take a look at provincials. I'm going to hit refresh right now to see if we have the divisions. We don't, but we do have the stats for all the teams in the province. So wait, I just got a text message. Could this be it? No, it's not. It's just a different graph. Yeah, because that's what my friends do. We send each other graphs because that's what we do. Um, Shout out to the group chat. All right, folks, hold on for 1 second here. There, just want to get my coughing out here. Folks, Ontario is generally regarded as one of the strongest regions in the entire world. Let me get my pen. These are some of the best teams in the world. Cyber Cavs, Team Dave, Makeshift, 2200, 3161, 5024, 4946. We talked about all of them. This next tier, fabulous, 4907, 4152, one of the best trapping robots in the world, 5409, the triple trap. Look at the gap.
The gap is crazy.
2056 is out there. Folks, 2056 has not lost a match this season, 34-0. We have gotten to this point in the season before where Ontario teams haven't lost before. Team 11-14 in 2010 had not lost a match, didn't lose a match until the Einstein finals that year. 2056 is on another level, but it's interesting because I don't even know that this is their best robot of all time. Emily, you've been around. Do you think it
Yeah.
is? You think it's
Pardon?
their best, or do you think they've had better?
I think this is definitely one of our best robots. I will say that 100%. I was a big fan of 2020 that sadly never reached the field. I feel like if we got
Yeah.
to compete with that one, it would have been amazing. 2018 was another amazing robot, but it's really hard to determine best robot with this team.
But
But this year is definitely one of the best.
so I want to show you something though. This is going into provincials, folks.
Mm.
This is going into provincials. I want to show you the next slide here because I think some teams are like having some despair right now. This is last year, but this is after Worlds.
Oh,
So last year, we did the same thing. And Emily, I think you might have been co-hosting with me where the
Yeah.
gap was that big.
Hmm.
The Ontario teams consistently get better. And last year, if you remember, these three teams were not this close to 2056 when we went into provincials, but they continued to get better in the Worlds. So teams out there, if you're watching right now and thinking, oh, well, we got no shot. No, 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 no. You have a shot. There is time to continue to get better. And that is the coolest thing about Ontario is that we've had a history of great teams, the 1241s, the 610s, the 2056s, the 1114s, who have set the bar high every year. And Ontario teams continue to respond to try and get to that level. And that's what's going to happen this weekend. This is a
Hmm.
wide open competition. Even if we go back to our last graph, and sometimes, these graphs don't necessarily tell the whole story. And you might think, oh, it's a foregone conclusion. Nah, and last year, I thought 2056's robot was fantastic last year, even better than this year's. But
Hmm.
they lost matches at provincials. They lost, they almost lost the event. It came right down to it. The Alpha Dogs in 1325 almost had them right there in
Hmm.
those finals. Sorry, not the Alpha Dogs in 1325, the Alpha Dogs in 4678, the Cyber Cavs. It came down to a tip robot. The number 7 seed sent 2056 to the lower bracket after the first quarterfinal match, and they had to
right.
fight their way through the lower bracket. 9098 did that. Chloe, was 2702 on that alliance?
Yep, it was
Yep.
us, Sonic Titans in 1998, and
Hmm.
that was an insane match.
So
I
before
remember
that
that
match, did you
alliance.
think you could do that, Chloe?
Um, I Okay,
You can
sometimes
be
I'm
honest.
skeptical.
Yeah.
I saw we were facing 2056, and I was like, you know what? We will probably come back through the lower bracket. I was not expecting it was an extremely strong alliance, and I personally didn't see the strategy, but we had our strategy down pat for that one. And the only thing that sent us out of that competition was our radio coming unplugged,
Yeah. It anything
which
can
was
happen, folks.
insane to be competing
Yeah.
at that level because it's 2056.
Yeah.
So,
So we need to celebrate excellence in our community and how great these teams are, but also don't despair because upsets happen. The same teams don't win. The Citrus Circuits had won like 31 events in a row or something ridiculous until just recently, and they lost.
23 actually.
No, 23 regionals plus
Oh, sorry.
they won 9 divisions in a row
oh my
as
God.
well. So like, yeah, they win a division every year at championship, folks. Like, team upsets happen. And the cool thing is like none of this is written in stone. You all get to write your own stories. Uh, you know, Even the Avengers finally took down Thanos. So these things happen. Took him down twice. Yeah, a point 2056 had a 7-point win this year. It's been close. Yeah. they've only had two matches which were decided with under 10 points. I believe it was the first match of McMaster and their last qualifying match of McMaster were the closest ones. So I think one of them, I think was it 1285 who put up the good fight in the first one, and then I think it
Hmm.
was 1114 in the last one or whatever. So
Yeah.
anything could happen. It is going to be a great series of events, but like there's just so many teams. And like think of the alliances we could see. And sometimes it's like, oh, it's going to be Alliance 1, 2, or 3. But last year with provincials, Chloe, like your alliance, Alliance 7, it can come from anywhere this year. You could have an Alliance 8 that has like three powerful speaker robots who are just, if they get in that triple cycle mode, where everyone's just off by a couple seconds. So like, amp, speaker, speaker, amp, speaker, speaker, like, or like more appropriately, amp, amp, speaker, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm so excited for this event. What are you most excited for about provincials, folks? Rapid fire.
Oh, matches,
For sure.
teams. Oh, Alumni Alley.
Yes,
Uh,
I can't wait for that. It's gonna be so much fun. My first one of many, but
Alumni
that'll
I
Night, Alumni Alley.
I am looking forward to the finale. The finale is always my favorite
yeah.
part.
Hmm.
There is nothing cooler than seeing the six teams march out together in the finals, and with the music playing and with whatever else is going to be happening, there is going to be a lot, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. At our core as people, we are storytellers, and we have 100 teams at this event with 100 different stories. And those stories are going to be told across 12 qualification matches and 15 divisional playoff matches on each division and two or three finale matches. And I cannot wait to hear all those stories. And I can't wait to see all those stories and see everyone. It's going to be the best event ever, right, folks?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
It's,
exciting.
it's going to
it'll
be
be
great.
really good.
So thank you, everyone who's tuning in. I hope to see all of you tomorrow or Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Come on by, stop in, say hello, be like, hey, I saw First Canada Live. We love hearing that. It's nice. Just say hi. We're gonna be there all weekend long. Emily, you are on the science field, I believe,
I
announcing.
am.
All right. Oh, you're with the dream team. You're with Praveen
I am.
and
I'm with a pretty good
you're with
Ravine
Praveen,
and
James Spencer, and
mm,
flying in from Taiwan, our boy Parth Patel is back. So you'll be
very
announcing over there.
exciting.
On the technology field, we'll have Sydney and Charles, along with Marie and Connor. So it's just excitement. I'll be bouncing between the two fields. I'll be on the main stage, and then I will be popping in for finals. So it's going to be a really good time. Everyone, thank you for watching. We will see you at Provincials. We'll be back here next week for a Provincials recap and a world preview. In the meantime, folks, some people want to wish people good luck before an event. I had a professor at the University of Waterloo, Professor Larry Smith, and he said, I don't want to wish you luck because luck is something you can't control. So I will wish you success. So I wish all of you success at provincials, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Night.